Hey everyone, welcome back to English in Advance. I am your host Jessica, and I am so happy you are here with me today. Today we are going to do something very special because I want to share with you exactly how I practice English every single day to build natural fluency. Many of you ask me how to go from understanding English to actually speaking it with confidence and ease, and the secret is not in memorizing big grammar books or stressing over every single rule. The secret is in your daily habits and how you integrate English into your life, just like you brush your teeth or drink your morning coffee. In this episode, we are going to walk through a complete daily routine that mimics how native speakers actually use the language, and we are going to practice together right now. I want you to relax and listen closely, because we are not just talking about English today, we are living it. We are going to start with the morning, because how you start your day sets the tone for everything else, and for me, my English practice begins the moment I wake up. I do not start with the textbook. I start with my ears, because listening is the foundation of speaking. Think about how a baby learns a language. They listen for months and years before they ever construct a perfect sentence. So when I wake up, I put on a podcast or an audio story just like this one, and I listen while I am getting ready. This is called immersion, and it is powerful because it teaches your brain to get used to the rhythm and the melody of the language without you having to force it. Let us practice this right now. I am going to tell you a simple story about my morning routine, and I want you to just listen to the flow of the words. Do not worry about every single vocabulary word, just try to picture the story in your mind. It was a rainy Tuesday morning, and the sound of the rain against my window woke me up before my alarm clock did. I pulled the warm blanket up to my chin and stayed in bed for just 5 more minutes, listening to the steady rhythm of the water hitting the glass. It felt cozy and safe inside, but I knew I had a busy day ahead of me, so I finally took a deep breath, threw off the covers, and put my feet on the cold wooden floor. I walked to the kitchen, and the smell of fresh coffee was already filling the air because I had set the timer on my coffee machine the night before. I poured myself a steaming cup, added a splash of milk, and stood by the window watching the gray clouds roll over the city. Now, I want you to think about what you just heard. Did you catch the phrases I used? I said I pulled the warm blanket up to my chin. This is a very natural way to describe getting comfortable in bed. I also said I threw off the covers. We do not usually say I removed the blankets in casual conversation. We say thrown off or kicked off because it implies a sudden movement. This is the kind of natural English we want to build. Let us try that again, but this time I want you to shadow me. Shadowing means you repeat what I say immediately after I say it. You do not wait for me to finish the sentence. You speak along with me almost like an echo. This helps your mouth muscles get used to the shape of English words. Let us go back to the kitchen scene. I poured myself a steaming cup, added a splash of milk, and stood by the window. Try to say that with me. I poured myself a steaming cup, added a splash of milk, and stood by the window. Notice how the words flow together. We do not say cups added separately. It sounds like a cup ad. The P sound flows into the A sound. I poured myself a steaming cup and added a splash of milk. When you practice this way, you are not just learning words. You are learning the music of English. After my morning listening session, I like to move on to what I call active observation. This is something you can do anywhere, whether you are on the bus, driving to work, or just walking down the street. The goal is to narrate your life in English in your head. It sounds simple, but it forces your brain to switch from your native language to English mode. For example, if I am walking to the bus stop, I might think to myself, "The wind is quite chilly today. I should have worn a thicker scarf." Or I might see a car drive by and think, "That red car is driving way too fast." By doing this, you are identifying gaps in your vocabulary. If you see a squirrel climbing a tree and you do not know the word for squirrel, you will immediately realize you need to learn it. Let us practice this narration technique together. Imagine you are sitting in a busy park on a sunny afternoon. Close your eyes if it helps you focus. What do you see? I will describe the scene, and I want you to imagine you are the one thinking these thoughts. There's a large oak tree in the center of the park, and its leaves are rustling gently in the breeze. Two children are chasing a soccer ball near the fountain, and their laughter is echoing through the air. A man in a blue suit is sitting on a bench checking his watch, repeatedly looking like he is late for an appointment. Now I want you to try to add a sentence to this scene in your mind. Look around this imaginary park. Maybe you see a dog. What is the dog doing? Is it pulling on its leash? Is it barking at a bird? Form that sentence in English right now. Maybe you thought the brown dog is sniffing the flowers. That is perfect. This simple act of narrating the world around you connects English to reality rather than connecting English to a textbook page. It makes the language real and immediate. Moving on to the next part of my daily routine, which usually happens around lunchtime. This is when I focus on vocabulary, but not in the boring old way of making lists. I do not like lists because lists are hard to remember. Instead, I practice what I call contextual anchoring. This means I take a new word or phrase and I anchor it to a specific memory or feeling or person in my life. Let us take the phrase run into. This is a phrasal verb that means to meet someone unexpectedly. If I just write it down, run into equals, unexpectedly, I might forget it tomorrow. But if I think about the time I actually ran into my old teacher at the grocery store, the memory becomes sticky. I remember it clearly. I was reaching for a box of cereal on the bottom shelf, and when I stood up, I almost bumped into a woman with bright red glasses. I looked up and realized it was Mrs. Peterson, my history teacher from 10 years ago. I was so surprised. I said, "Mrs. Peterson, I cannot believe I ran into you here." Now that phrase is anchored to the image of the cereal box and the red glasses and the feeling of surprise. I want you to try this now. I am going to give you a phrase and I want you to connect it to a real memory in your life. The phrase is, "call it a day." This implies that you cease working on something. We use it when we are tired and ready to stop working. Think of a time you were exhausted at work or school. Maybe it was late at night and your eyes were burning from looking at the computer screen. You looked at your colleague and said, "I am so tired. Let us call it a day." Hold that memory in your mind. Feel the relief of closing your laptop and walking out the door. That feeling is now connected to the phrase, "call it a day." The next time you are tired, that phrase will pop into your head naturally because it is tied to an emotion. This is how you build a vocabulary that you can actually use in conversation, not just recognize on a test. We want words to be available to you instantly when you speak, and emotional connections are the fastest way to make that happen. Let us continue with our day. After work or school, usually in the late afternoon, is when I like to do my speaking practice. Now you might say, but Jessica, I do not have anyone to speak with. That is okay because my favorite speaking exercise is something you can do completely alone. It is called the 1-minute speech. The rules are very simple. You pick a random topic, set a timer for 1 minute, and you have to talk about that topic without stopping, without pausing for more than 3 seconds, and without checking a dictionary. It does not matter if you make mistakes. The goal is fluency, not accuracy. We want to train your brain to keep going even when you do not know a specific word. Let us try a round of this together. I am going to give you a topic and I will start speaking about it to show you how it works, and then I want you to continue. The topic is your favorite food. Ready? Go. My favorite food has to be pizza, but not just any pizza. I really love the kind of pizza that has a thin, crispy crust and is cooked in a wood-fired oven. There is a small Italian restaurant near my house that makes the best margherita pizza. The tomato sauce is sweet and tangy, and the mozzarella cheese is fresh and milky. I could eat it every single Friday night. Sometimes I like to add spicy peppers on top because I enjoy a little bit of heat. I remember the first time I tried it, I was with my friends, and we ordered 3 huge pizzas and finished them all. Now it is your turn. I want you to keep talking about food. What do you like? Is it sweet or savory? Do you like to cook it yourself, or do you prefer to go to a restaurant? Just keep the words flowing. Even if you have to say, I do not know what to say next, just say that in English. Say, honestly, I am running out of ideas, but I really like chocolate too. Keep the engine running. This exercise builds what we call circumlocution skills, which is the ability to describe a word when you forget the actual name for it. For example, if you forget the word for fork, you can say the metal tool we use to eat food. If you practice speaking without stopping, you get very good at explaining yourself, and that makes you a confident speaker because you are never afraid of forgetting a word. You know you can always explain your way around it. As we move into the evening part of my routine, I like to focus on pronunciation and intonation. English is a stress-timed language, which means some syllables are long and loud and others are short and quiet. If you speak every syllable with the same length, you will sound robotic. To practice this, I use a technique called backchaining. This is where we start at the end of a sentence and build it backwards. This helps you get the rhythm right without stumbling over the words. Let us practice with a complicated sentence. The sentence is, I would have gone if I had known you were there. That is a lot of grammar, but let us focus on the sound. Listen to the end. You were there. Say it. You were there. Now add the middle part. Known you were there. Try to keep the rhythm. Known you were there. Now add a bit more. If I had known you were there. Notice how had is very quick. It sounds like if I had known. If I had known you were there. Now the beginning. I would have gone. Would have sounds like would you be, I would have gone. Now put it all together. I would have gone if I had known you were there. By building it backwards, you keep the strong stress on the important words like gone and known and there, while the little grammatical words get squeezed in between. Let us try another one. This is a very common sentence in business or formal situations. I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me. Let us break it down backwards. Meet with me. Say it. Meet with me. Taking the time to meet with me. Notice the rhythm. Taking the time. Taking the time to meet with me. Now the beginning. I appreciate you. Appreciate has the stress on the second syllable. Appreciate. I appreciate you. Now the whole thing. I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me. When you practice this way, you stop worrying about individual sounds and you start feeling the flow of the entire sentence. It becomes like a song that you just have to sing. Now that the day is winding down, I like to end my English practice with something relaxing. I do not do grammar exercises before bed because that wakes up my brain too much. Instead, I do what I call pleasure reading. This means reading something that is actually below your level. If you are an intermediate learner, read a beginner story. If you are advanced, read a young adult novel. The point is not to struggle with new words. The point is to read smoothly and enjoy the story. When you read easily, you reinforce the grammar structures you already know, and you build reading speed. It makes you feel successful and confident. I usually keep a book on my nightstand. Let us imagine I am reading a mystery novel. I open the book and I read. The detective walked into the dark room and switched on his flashlight. The beam of light cut through the dust, floating in the air. He saw a footprint on the dusty floor and knew he was not alone. When I read this, I am not analyzing the verb tenses. I am just watching the movie in my head. I am enjoying the suspense. This positive association with English is crucial. If every time you interact with English it is hard and frustrating, you will want to quit. But if you end your day with a fun, easy story, you go to sleep feeling good about English and you will look forward to waking up and doing it all again tomorrow. So that is the overview of a full day of natural practice. But I want to go deeper into the mindset you need for this. You see, many people think that living in an English-speaking country is the only way to become fluent. They say, Jessica, I cannot learn because I live in a country where nobody speaks English. But I want to tell you that geography is not destiny. You can create an English environment right in your bedroom. It is about making conscious choices. When you reach for your phone to check social media, is your phone set to English? When you search for a recipe for dinner, do you search in your native language, or do you type how to make spaghetti carbonara in English? These small micro choices add up. Let us practice making a micro choice right now. Think about your to-do list for tomorrow. You probably have a mental list of things you need to accomplish. Maybe you need to go to the bank, buy groceries, and call your mother. I want you to translate that list into English right now in your head. Do not just translate the words, translate the action. I need to stop by the bank to deposit a check. I need to pick up some vegetables for dinner. I need to give Mom a call to see how she is doing. By doing this, you are claiming ownership of your daily life in English. You are telling your brain that English is relevant to your survival and your relationships. Let us talk about another common obstacle, which is the fear of making mistakes. This is the biggest barrier to fluency. I hear so many students say, I know what I want to say, but I am afraid I will say it wrong, so I stay silent. I want you to change your perspective on mistakes. Mistakes are not failures. Mistakes are data. When you make a mistake and someone corrects you or you realize it yourself, you have just received valuable data that helps you calibrate your internal grammar machine. If you never make a mistake, you are not pushing yourself hard enough. You are staying in the safe zone. Imagine you are learning to play tennis. If you only hit the ball gently over the net, you will never learn to smash or serve with power. You have to hit the ball into the net a few times to learn how to aim higher. It is the same with English. You have to say the wrong verb tense to learn the right one. Let us practice being brave with a little game I call the what if scenario. I will give you a crazy situation and I want you to explain what you would do. Do not worry about grammar, just communicate your idea. Here's the scenario. You wake up one morning and you find a penguin in your kitchen opening your refrigerator. What do? Think about it. Do you scream? Do you try to give it a fish? Do you call the police? Or maybe the zoo? Formulate your answer. Start with, if I found a penguin in my kitchen, I would... Maybe you would say I would take a picture because nobody would believe me. That is a great sentence. Or I would check if the air conditioner is on because penguins like the cold. See how creative you can be. When you focus on the message on the idea, the grammar often follows naturally. The anxiety disappears because you are too busy solving the problem of the penguin. This brings us back to the concept of fluency. Fluency is not perfection. Fluency is flow. It is the ability to keep the conversation moving like a river flowing over rocks. Sometimes the water moves fast, sometimes it moves slow, and sometimes it has to go around a big obstacle, but it never stops. That is how I want you to speak. If you forget a word, go around it. If you make a grammar mistake, keep flowing. Do not stop to apologize. Native speakers make mistakes too. We stumble. We restart sentences. We use the wrong word sometimes. But we keep going. I want to share a personal story about a time I was learning a new language because, yes, even English teachers learn languages. I was trying to order food in a restaurant in France, and I wanted to order the chicken, but I accidentally ordered the kitchen. The words were very similar. The waiter looked at me very confused, and then he smiled and said, "The kitchen is not for sale, madame." We both laughed. It was a little embarrassed, but it was also a connection. We had a moment of human connection because of my mistake. If I had been too afraid to speak, I would have missed that moment, and I would have missed a delicious meal. So embrace the awkward moments. They are often the ones you learn the most from. Now let us get back to the practical side of our daily routine. We talked about listening, speaking vocabulary, and reading. But there is one more element that ties it all together, and that is writing. But again, not writing essays. I am talking about journaling. Writing is like speaking in slow motion. It gives you the time to think about the structure of your sentence to find the perfect word to correct yourself before anyone sees it. I recommend keeping a 5-minute journal in English. Just 5 minutes before you go to sleep, write down 3 things that happened today. Let us try to draft a journal entry together. Think about one thing that made you smile today. It could be anything. A good cup of coffee, a nice message from a friend, the sun shining. Let us write it down mentally. Today was a good day because... Finish the sentence. Maybe it is. Today was a good day because I finally finished a project at work that was stressing me out. Or today was a good day because my cat did something funny. By writing this down, you are reinforcing the past tense. Was, finished, did. You are practicing narrative structure. And you are ending your day with gratitude in English, which is a beautiful way to program your brain for positivity. Let us expand on that journal entry. Adding detail is where your English really advances. Instead of just saying, "I finished a project," try to describe how it felt. I felt a huge weight lift off my shoulders when I sent that final email. That is a fantastic idiom. A weight off my shoulders. Writing gives you the chance to look up these idioms and use them. If you were speaking, you might not have time to think of it, but with writing, you can pause search and craft a beautiful sentence. Then the next time you speak, that idiom will be ready for you to use. We have covered a lot of ground today, and this is just the beginning of our journey. We have set up a framework for a day of English living. From the moment you wake up and listen to the time you go to sleep and write, you are surrounding yourself with the language. You are not studying English, you are living in English. And that is the shift that changes everything. It changes you from a student to a speaker. I want you to take a deep breath now. Inhale deeply and exhale. Let go of the stress of learning. Let go of the pressure to be perfect. Learning English should be a joy, not a burden. It opens doors to new cultures, new friends, and new ideas. Every word you learn is a key that unlocks a little bit more of the world. So treasure every word. Celebrate every sentence you speak, even the broken ones, especially the broken ones because they mean you are trying. Start small. Consistency is more important than intensity. It is better to practice for 15 minutes every day than for 5 hours once a week. Your brain needs that daily repetition to build the neural pathways. So make a promise to yourself right now. Say it out loud. I promise to practice a little bit every day. Say it. I promise to practice a little bit every day. That is your commitment. Not to me, but to yourself and your future. Now we need to move from talking to yourself to talking to other people. This is often the scariest part for learners, because when you talk to yourself, you are safe. But when you talk to others, you have to deal with fast-speed slang and the social rules of conversation. Today we are going to master the mechanics of conversation. We are going to learn how to sound polite, how to understand native speakers when they speak incredibly fast, and how to hold your ground in a discussion. Let us start with something that is often overlooked, but is actually more important than grammar, and that is politeness. In many languages, being direct is normal. You might say, "Give me the salt," or "Open the window," and it is perfectly fine. But in English, especially in the UK and North America, being too direct can sound rude or aggressive, even if you do not mean to be. We use what I call softeners. Softeners are little words and phrases that act like a cushion. They make your request land softly on the other person's ears. Imagine you are at a cafe. If you walk up to the counter and say, "I want a coffee," the barista will understand you, but they might think you are a bit demanding. It sounds like a command. Now listen to this version. "Hi, could I please get a coffee?" Or even better, "I would like to have a coffee, please." Do you hear the difference? We use words like could and would to create distance between us and the request. This distance is what we consider politeness. Let us practice this shift right now. I am going to give you a direct command, and I want you to change it into a polite request in your mind. Here is the command. Close the door. It is cold. How would you make that soft? Try starting with the word could. You might say, "Could you possibly close the door? It is a bit cold in here." Or maybe, "Would you mind closing the door?" Notice the structure there. Would you mind closing? When we use would you mind, the verb changes to the ing form. This is a very advanced and natural way to speak. Let us try another one. Move your bag. That sounds harsh, right? Imagine you are on a bus and someone's bag is on the empty seat. You do not want to start a fight. So you say, "Excuse me, would you mind moving your bag so I can sit down?" Try saying that out loud with a smile in your voice. "Excuse me, would you mind moving your bag?" the tone is just as important as the words. Now let us talk about speed. You study English in school and the teacher speaks clearly and slowly. The teacher says, "How are you doing today?" But then you watch a movie or speak to a native speaker and it sounds like "how you doing." This is connected speech. In English, we do not like to stop between words. We link the end of one word to the beginning of the next. One of the most common forms of connected speech is what we call the intrusive sound. When one word ends in a vowel and the next word starts with a vowel, we often add a little sound in the middle. For example, take the phrase "go away." If you say it slowly, it is go, away. But in natural speech, we add a little W sound in the middle. It sounds like "go away." Try it. Go away. It is much smoother, right? Or take the phrase "I am." We add a little Y sound, I am. Let us look at an even more common reduction. You probably know the words going to. I am going to the store. But native speakers almost always reduce this to gonna. I am gonna go to the store. Or wanna becomes wanna. I wanna eat pizza. Let us practice a sentence that is full of these reductions. Listen to this carefully. What are you gonna do? That is the textbook version. Now listen to the natural version. What you gonna do? We changed. What are you into? Whatcha and going to, into, gonna. What you gonna do? Try saying it. What you gonna do? It feels different in your mouth, right? Let us try another one that confuses many people. The phrase sounds like did cheat. It sounds like a strange word, right? Did cheat. But it is actually 3 words. Did you eat? When the D sound in, did meets the Y sound in you, they combine to make a J sound. Did you becomes did ja. And then we connect it to eat. Did ja eat. And if we speak really fast, it becomes did jeet. So if a friend asks you, did jeet, yet they are asking, have you had lunch? I want you to practice this transformation. Start slow. Did you eat? Now speed it up and blend the sounds. Did ya eat? Now faster. Did jeet. Good. Mastering these connections is the key to unlocking your listening comprehension. Now that we are listening better, let us talk about how to keep a conversation going. Have you ever been in a conversation where the other person asks you a question, you answer it, and then there is an awkward silence? They ask, "Where are you from?" You say, "I am from Brazil," and then silence. That is painful. To avoid this, you need to use the answer plus add technique. Never just give a one-word answer. Always answer the question and then add a little bit of extra information or a question of your own. This gives the other person a hook to catch on to. Let us role play this. I will ask you a question and I want you to answer it and then add something. Here's a question. Do you like watching movies? If you just say, "Yes, I do," the conversation dies. But try saying, "Yes, I love movies, especially action movies because they help me relax after a long day at work." Do you see what happened there? You gave the answer, yes. You added detail action movies, and you gave a reason to relax. Now I can ask you, "Oh, what is your job that makes you so tired?" Or I can ask, "What is your favorite action movie?" You have created doors for the conversation to walk through. Let us try another one. What did you do this weekend? Do not just say, "I slept." Say, "I was actually quite lazy this weekend. I stayed in bed and read a really good book about history. It was so nice to just disconnect from the internet for a while." Now you have given me so much to talk about. We can talk about books' history or the internet. Practice this in your daily life. Whenever someone asks you a simple question, challenge yourself to give a complex answer. Moving deeper into conversation skills, let us discuss how to disagree. This is tricky because you want to be honest, but you do not want to be rude. In many cultures, you might say, "You are wrong," or "That is not true." But in English conversational culture, that can be seen as aggressive. We prefer to use what I call the agreement bridge. This means you find a small point you can agree with, or at least acknowledge, before you deliver your disagreement. Imagine we are arguing about the best way to travel. I say, "I think traveling by plane is the best because it is the fastest. You hate flying and you prefer trains." Instead of saying, "No, planes are terrible," try this. "I see your point that planes are fast. However, I prefer trains because you get to see the scenery. Listen to that structure. I see your point. However, you validated my opinion before you gave your own." Let us practice some phrases for polite disagreement. Repeat these after me to get the rhythm. "I understand what you are saying, but I see it a little differently." Try that. "I understand what you are saying, but I see it a little differently." That is a beautiful sentence. Here's another one. "That is a valid point. But have you considered the cost?" This is a great way to introduce a counter-argument. Now let us tackle a very specific problem. What do you do when you do not understand what someone said? This happens to everyone, even native speakers. Please do not just smile and nod. You need to have a toolkit of phrases to ask for clarification without feeling stupid. Avoid just saying, "What?" Instead, try, "I am sorry I did not quite catch that. Could you say it again?" Let us practice that. "I did not quite catch that." It is an idiom that means I did not hear or understand. Or you can say, "Could you speak a little more slowly, please? I am still learning English." There is no shame in admitting you are learning. Another technique is to repeat back what you thought you heard. This is called verifying. If I say we need to meet at the station at 5 o'clock and you are not sure if I said 5 or 9, you can say, "Just to check, did you say 5 or 9? This shows that you were listening, but you just need to clarify one detail. Let us shift gears a little bit and talk about the body language of English conversation. In English-speaking cultures, specifically in the US and UK, we use a lot of active listening sounds. If you sit completely silent while I am talking, I might think you are bored. You need to use back-channeling. These are the little sounds like, "Uh-huh, right, really, oh wow." These sounds act like fuel for the speaker. Let us practice inserting these sounds. I am going to tell you a short story, and I want you to insert a reaction sound in the pauses. Ready? "Yesterday I went to the park." You say, "Uh-huh." "And I saw a man walking a giant tiger on a leash." You say, "No way or really." "I know it sounds crazy, but when I got closer, I realized it was just a very large dog painted with stripes." You say, "Oh wow," or "That is funny." Do you see how that works? Your little sounds turn a monologue into a dialogue. Now I want to address filler words. You know those words, well, actually. Teachers often tell you to avoid them, but the truth is, native speakers use them all the time. They buy you time to think. However, you have to use them correctly. Do not use every 2 words. Use well to start a sentence when you are considering an opinion. Use, when you are checking if the other person agrees or understands. Use. Actually, when you are correcting a misconception. Let us try using actually. Someone says, "It always rains in London." You know, that is not true. So you say, "Actually, it can be quite sunny in the summer." The word actually softens the correction. We have covered so many mechanics today. We have learned to soften our requests with could and would. We have learned to decode the fast sounds of connected speech like wanna and did jeet. Conversation is a dance. It requires two people moving in sync. Sometimes you lead, sometimes you follow, and sometimes you step on each other's toes. Let us practice a phrase that is a lifesaver when you need a moment. Give me a moment to gather my thoughts. Say it with me. Give me a moment to gather my thoughts. It sounds so much better than just staring blankly with your mouth open. It shows confidence. I also want to talk about the power of storytelling. We humans are wired for stories. If you want to connect with someone, do not just give them facts, give them a story. If someone asks, "Why are you learning English?" do not just say, "For my job." Tell the story. Say, "Well, 5 years ago, I met a tourist in my city, and I could not give him directions to the train station. I felt so helpless, and I promised myself that day that I would never feel that way again." That is a story. Think about your own why story right now. Why are you here listening to me? Is it because you want to travel? Is it because you want to read books in their original language? Find that story and practice telling it. In American English, when a T comes between two vowel sounds, it often becomes what we call a flap T. It sounds almost like a very quick, soft D. Think of the word water. In British English, it is often pronounced with a crisp T water, but in American English, it sounds like water. Listen closely. Water. Butter. Better. It is not butter. It is butter. Let us practice this flap T. I want you to say the sentence, "It is better to drink water." But I want you to use the soft D sound. It is better to drink water. Try it. It feels lazy on your tongue, right? Your tongue just taps the roof of your mouth very quickly. It is better to drink water. Now let us try it with a phrase like "get over it." The T in get is between the E in get and the O in over, so it connects. Get over it. Come on, just get over it. When you start using this flap T, your speech will instantly sound more fluid and liquid. Another sound change that happens in conversation is the glottal stop. This is very common in British English, but Americans use it too in words like button or curtain. Instead of saying the T, we stop the air in our throat. B-on, cur-ain. It is like a little hiccup in the middle of the word. Why am I telling you this? Because if you try to pronounce every single letter perfectly, "I went to the shop," you will sound like a robot. Let us look at the word and. It is a very small word, but we almost never say and. We usually just say n. Fish and chips becomes fish and chips. Rock and roll becomes rock and roll. Black and white. Up and down. This helps you save your energy for the big words. Now, let us go back to the psychology of conversation for a moment. I want to talk about the concept of the mirror. When you are speaking to someone, a great way to build rapport is to subtly mirror their language. If they use a specific word, try to use that word back to them later. If they say, "I am feeling really exhausted today," do not say, "Oh, why are you tired?" Use their word. "Oh, I am sorry you are exhausted." This validates their choice of words. This works for grammar, too. If someone asks you a question in the past tense, answer in the past tense. "What did you do?" "I went to the park." If they ask in the present, perfect, "Have you eaten?" answer in the present perfect. "Yes, I have eaten." Let us practice this borrowing technique. I will ask a question and I want you to answer using the same structure. Question: would you have gone to the party if you were invited? That is a complex conditional, but you do not need to panic. Just borrow the words. Answer yes. I would have gone if I were invited. You just take the would have gone block and move it into your answer. Question: are you thinking of changing your job soon? Borrow the are you thinking structure. Answer yes. I am thinking of changing it. This technique buys you mental processing time. Finally, I want to talk about the importance of intonation. In English, the music of your voice changes the meaning of the sentence. I can say the word really in 5 different ways. If I say really with a falling tone, it means I believe you. If I say really with a rising tone, it means I am surprised. If I say really with a flat tone, it might mean I am bored or sarcastic. Paint with your voice. We are crossing from the head to the heart. We are going to talk about emotional intelligence in English. You see, it is one thing to order a coffee. It is a completely different thing to tell someone you are heartbroken or to make a joke that actually makes people laugh. This is the level where you stop being just a tourist in the language. Let us start by expanding our emotional vocabulary. When I ask students how they feel, they often give me the same 3 words: happy, sad, or fine. But human beings are complicated. We are rarely just happy. We might be relieved or ecstatic or content. We are rarely just sad. We might be disappointed or lonely or grieving. Let us look at the spectrum of happiness. Imagine you just got a promotion at work. You are not just happy, you are thrilled. Thrilled implies a high-energy excitement. Or maybe you are over the moon. This is a beautiful idiom that means you are extremely happy. Practice this intensity. I am absolutely thrilled. Feel the vibration of the word thrilled. I am over the moon about this news. Now let us look at the other side. Sadness. If you lose your keys, you are annoyed. If you lose your job, you are devastated. Devastated is a strong word. It means you feel destroyed inside. Precision allows people to empathize with you correctly. Let us practice a complex emotion, the feeling of being overwhelmed. This is when you have too much to do. Instead of saying, I am busy, say I am feeling a bit overwhelmed right now. Or use the idiom, I have a lot on my plate. Imagine a dinner plate piled high with food so high that it is falling off. I have a lot on my plate. Now moving on to empathy. How do you respond when someone shares bad news? You need to use what I call empathy bridges. The most classic one is, I am so sorry to hear that. Note that we say sorry even though it is not our fault. Another powerful phrase is, I cannot imagine how you must be feeling. This is a very humble phrase. Let us practice a scenario. I am your friend, and I tell you, I just found out my dog is really sick. I want you to respond. Pause and think. Do not just say, oh no. Say, oh, I am so sorry to hear that. I know how much you love him. I cannot imagine how difficult this is for you. Feel the difference. Avoid saying things like, do not worry, it will be fine. That is called toxic positivity. Instead, try simply saying, I am here for you if you need anything. That is the gold standard of support. Now let us talk about anger or frustration. In English-speaking cultures, we tend to wrap our anger in soft layers. If I am furious, I might say I am not very happy about this. It sounds mild, but to a native speaker, it is a clear warning sign. Imagine you are at a restaurant and the waiter brings you the wrong food for the 3rd time. You want to scream, but instead you say, excuse me, I am getting a little frustrated because this is the 3rd time the order has been wrong. Notice the structure. I am getting a little frustrated. You are describing your emotion rather than attacking the person. Let us practice a professional complaint. Imagine your colleague missed a deadline. You are angry, but you say, listen, I am a bit disappointed that the deadline was missed because now it puts a lot of pressure on the team. I am a bit disappointed. It sounds polite, but it hits hard. Another great phrase for frustration is to be fed up. I am fed up with this traffic. I am fed up with the rain. Now we are going to talk about humor, jokes, sarcasm. Understanding a joke in a foreign language is incredibly hard, but if you can crack a joke in English, you have won. English humor, especially British humor, relies heavily on sarcasm and irony. This means saying the opposite of what you mean. For example, if it is pouring rain outside and you are soaking wet, you might walk inside and say, "Well, it is a lovely day for a walk, isn't it?" The humor comes from the gap between the reality and the words. Let us practice recognizing sarcasm. If you invite me to a movie and I say, "Oh, I would love to go, but I have to wash my hair," I am probably being sarcastic. If someone drops a plate and it smashes and someone else says, "Nice job, Einstein," that is sarcasm. Another big part of English humor is the pun. A pun is a play on words where one word has two meanings. Let me tell you one. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field. Do you get it? A scarecrow stands in a field of corn, but outstanding also means excellent. So he was outstanding standing out in his field. Let us try one more. I am reading a book on anti-gravity. It is impossible to put down. To put down a book means to stop reading it. But gravity pulls things down. So if it is anti-gravity, you literally cannot put it down. These jokes help you learn vocabulary because they force your brain to connect two different definitions. Let us practice telling a story about a time you were scared. Maybe you thought you lost your passport at the airport. Do not just say, "I lost my passport and found it." Start with the feeling. Start with, "I nearly had a heart attack yesterday." That grabs attention. Then set the scene. I was standing at the check-in counter and the agent asked for my passport. I reached into my bag and nothing. My heart dropped to my stomach. My heart dropped to my stomach. That is a physical description of fear. Use that. I started frantically searching every pocket. I was sweating. I could feel everyone staring at me. Build the tension, then the relief, and then suddenly I felt a square shape in my back pocket. I was so relieved I almost cried. Do you see the arc of that story? Panic, tension, physical sensation, relief. I want you to think of a small incident from your life. Practice telling it with drama. Let us talk about vulnerability. Being able to admit you do not know something makes you relatable. If you are in a meeting and you are struggling to express your idea, it is perfectly okay to say, "I am struggling to find the right words in English right now. But please bear with me because this idea is important. Please bear with me." That is a lovely phrase. It asks for patience. Now I want to touch on the language of love and affection. In English, we use terms of endearment like honey, sweetie, darling, mate, buddy. If you want to express appreciation to a friend, you can say, "I really appreciate you," or "I do not know what I would do without you." Imagine your friend helped you move house. You say, honestly, "I do not know what I would do without you." You are a lifesaver. A lifesaver. That is a great noun for someone who helps you in a crisis. Practice expressing affection. Think of someone you love. Say to them, "You mean the world to me." It is a big statement. I am so lucky to have you in my life. I want you to hunt for specific words for your emotions. If you were happy, were you content or were you delighted? If you were angry, were you frustrated or were you irritated? This nuance helps you lock vocabulary into memory. There is one more thing I want to discuss, and that is the concept of active encouragement. In English-speaking cultures, we often use a lot of encouraging phrases. Phrases like good for you or that is amazing or you smashed it. If your friend tells you they went to the gym for the first time, say good for you. If they passed a test, say you smashed it. Let us practice being a cheerleader. I will tell you some good news and I want you to respond with enthusiasm. I finally finished reading that 500-page book in English. You say that is incredible or way to go. I managed to cook a souffle without it collapsing. You say that is amazing or you are a natural. I woke up at 5 a.m. to go for a run. You say good on you or I am impressed. People will forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Native speakers love idioms because they convey a feeling faster. We talked about over the moon, but let us look at anxiety. We often say, I have butterflies in my stomach. This describes that fluttery, nervous feeling. Another one is, I am walking on eggshells. This describes a situation where you are terrified of upsetting someone. Maybe your boss is in a terrible mood, so everyone in the office is walking on eggshells. What about when you are very undecided? We say, I am on the fence. Imagine sitting on a fence between two fields. I am on the fence about accepting the job offer. It implies you can see the benefits of both sides. And let us look at anger again. We have the idiom to fly off the handle. This means to lose your temper suddenly. My dad flew off the handle when he saw the scratch on the car. Compare that with to see red. When I saw him kick the dog, I just saw red. This means you were so angry you literally could not see anything else. Let us practice a little idiom story. I was feeling down in the dumps yesterday because I had a falling out with my best friend. We were arguing about something silly and I just saw red and said some mean things. Afterwards, I felt terrible. I was really kicking myself. I wanted to apologize, but I was too chicken to call her. Finally, I bit the bullet and dialed her number. I had butterflies in my stomach while the phone rang. When she answered, I poured my heart out and told her how sorry I was. Thankfully, she was very understanding and we made up. Now a huge weight is off my shoulders and I am on cloud 9 again. Down in the dumps means sad. A falling out means a fight. Kicking myself means regretting. Too chicken means too afraid. Bit the bullet means did something difficult. Poured my heart out means confessed all your feelings. Made up means reconciled. Weight off my shoulders means relief. On cloud 9 means very happy. This is the level where you stop being a student and you become a leader. Today is about mastery. It is about professional English and the ultimate goal, which is thinking entirely in English. The biggest difference between casual English and business English is structure. You need to use signposting. Signposting is using language to tell the listener exactly where you are going. In a presentation, this sounds like this. First, I am going to outline the problem. Next, I will propose 3 possible solutions. Finally, I will recommend the best course of action. This makes the audience feel safe. Let us practice a professional opening. Imagine you have to present a new marketing strategy. Say this with authority. Good morning, everyone. Today I would like to walk you through our strategy for the next quarter. I will start by reviewing last month's performance, and then I will move on to our new targets. Say it. Feel the structure. I will start by, and then I will move on to. This structure makes you sound organized. Let us practice the art of the professional disagreement. You need to use the yes and technique or the pivot. If your colleague says, we should lower our prices to get more customers, do not say no, that will kill our profits. Instead, say, I understand the drive to increase customer numbers. However, we need to be careful not to devalue our brand. Listen to that transition. I understand. However, this is the pivot. Another great phrase is, that is an interesting perspective. Have we considered the impact on? Let us practice the phrase, have we considered? It is a soft way to introduce a hard problem. Now let us move to the world of email. Be brief, be clear, and be polite. Start with a clear subject line. In the first sentence, state your purpose. I am writing to update you on. Or I am writing to request. Close with a call to action. I look forward to hearing from you. Or, please let me know if you have any questions. If you want to sound very professional, use I would appreciate your guidance on this matter. Let us practice drafting a short email. Subject, meeting request project. X, body. Hi, Sarah. I hope you are having a good week. I would like to schedule a brief meeting to discuss the timeline for Project X. Do you have any availability on Thursday afternoon? Thanks, Jessica. Simple, clean, effective. The problem most learners have is the translation loop. We need to cut the wire. We need to go directly from the object to the English word. Pick an object. Maybe it is a lamp. Do not think of the word in your language. Just look at the object and say lamp. Visualize the light coming from it. Lamp. Now look at a chair. Just see the object and label it. Chair. Sit. Comfortable. Connect the English word directly to the sensation. Narrate your actions strictly in English. If you are making tea, say I am taking the kettle. I am filling it with water. I am turning it on. If you do not know a word, do not look it up in a dictionary immediately. Describe it. If you forget the word for spoon, say, the metal thing for stirring. Let us try a harder exercise for thinking in English. It is called the abstract debate. Pick a concept like success. Try to define it in English in your head. To me, success is having the freedom to do what I love. It is not just about a big car. It is about peace of mind. By doing this, you are forcing your brain to process complex thoughts without the crutch of your native tongue. When you can argue with yourself in English, you have arrived. Let us try an internal argument about buying a new phone. Voice A says, but the camera is amazing. Voice B says, but I need to save money for my trip. Do this while you are washing the dishes. Advanced English is about being subtle. It is about the difference between I will do it and I might do it. If you say you must finish this, it is an order. If you say you should finish this, it is advice. If you say you might want to finish this, it is a gentle suggestion. In professional settings, we use what is called hedging. It protects you in case you are wrong. It shows you are humble. Let us practice hedging. Instead of saying, this is the best solution, say, this seems to be the most viable solution at this time. Instead of saying, that is wrong, say, that might not be entirely accurate. Try saying that. That might not be entirely accurate. It is so polite, but it clearly means you disagree. Another tool for nuance is the passive voice. Jessica made a mistake. That is active. It blames Jessica. But in business, we want to avoid blame. So we use the passive voice. Mistakes were made. Notice the difference. We remove the person. Instead of saying, you broke the printer, say the printer has been broken. Use the passive voice when you want to focus on the result rather than the person who did it. The only way to cross the intermediate plateau is through massive amounts of input. You need to find that sweet spot where you understand 80% and struggle with 20%. I recommend finding a topic you are passionate about that has nothing to do with English. Learn about that topic in English. Your accent is your history. Clarity is important. Pronunciation is important. But losing your accent completely is not the goal. Some of the most powerful leaders in the world speak with strong accents. However, we do want to work on rhythm and stress. English is a musical language. We stress the content, words. I went to the store to buy some bread. Listen to the beats. Went, store, buy, bread. The other words are tiny. I went to the store to buy some bread. Practice tapping your hand on the table to the beat of the important words. If you speak like a robot giving every word equal length, it is hard for native speakers to process. If you change your phone language to English, you are practicing every time you look at your screen. If you listen to music in English, you are practicing while you drive. You do not need to sit at a desk for 2 hours to study. You just need to live your life with an English soundtrack. Close your eyes one last time. Imagine yourself 1 year from now. You are walking into a room full of English speakers. You feel calm. You are not sweating. You just walk up to someone, smile, and say, "Hi, I am." And the conversation flows. You make a joke and they laugh. Feel that confidence. That version of you is real. I want to leave you with the philosophy of the growth mindset. When you make a mistake, do not say, "I am bad at English." Say, "I am still learning this part." When you do not understand a word, do not say, "I am stupid." Say, "I have not met that word yet." Yet. It is a tiny word, but it changes everything. I am not fluent yet. I do not understand yet. It keeps the door open for the future. You have the complete toolkit now. There is no secret password. You have the map. Now you just have to take the journey. Thank you for trusting me with your time. Keep listening. Keep shadowing. Keep journaling. Keep narrating. But most of all, keep speaking. Speak to your dog, speak to your plants, speak to yourself, and speak to the world. This is Jessica signing off from English in Advance. I wish you clear words, confident thoughts, and a future filled with connection. You are ready, you are capable, and you are on your way. Good luck and goodbye.